Um, Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into the Buccateers podcast. I am your host, Tampa. We're joined alongside co-host Stunna and a very special guest today, Mr. Brian James himself, friend of the shows. He's been on before from Madden Underground, obviously a Titans guy and a Madden guy, so he fits in greatly with this episode as we're reviewing the week of Titans Bucks practices and preseason, and at the same time, we're going to be talking some Madden talk and some Tom Brady talk as well. So we'll roll the intro and then we'll get going here. You guys are tuned into the Buccateers podcast. Enjoy. Game on Sunday, man. I know you're nervous for the Rams, but you got to be a little enthusiastic after being there.
Bro, that game atmosphere was ridiculous. The energy, the electricity. That place was rocking. Anyone was there, and a lot of the Super Buck fans were there too. Beat Bug.
Tampa Tones. We are joined by lead goon tonight, host of the Pat and Aaron show of WDAE, Pat Donovan. And it sounds like Stunna is bumbling a little bit. Going to put him on mute for a second until that gets a little clear. But we're joined by Pat Donovan.
It looks like Stunna's hanging out with Cheech and Chong in a car with the windows up or something over there.
It does look like we got a little...
No, my camera's broke.
Welcome back to the Buccateers, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, I'm your host, Tampa Tones, joined alongside co-host Stunna tonight and Brian James himself from Madden Underground. We got Katz, Cody G, Bucko, and Huncho out of the building. But we got a lot to discuss tonight, so we're going to get right to it. You can follow us on Twitter at Buccateers, Instagram, Buccateers Pod, YouTube, Buccateers Podcast, Apple, Spotify, Stitcher and all that good stuff at Buccateers Podcast to catch the replay. We are live on Bucks Life News Facebook right now, along with Buccateers YouTube. So welcome in everybody joining us. Tyron Jones, shout out to you. You're joining on Facebook tonight. We appreciate you. But without further ado, we're going to bring in the man himself, the Madden expert and the Tennessee Titans guy, Mr. Brian James. Brian, how the hell are you? Thanks so much for joining us tonight. It's been a while, my friend.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
Yeah, and I'm sure it was an ugly game yesterday, but you guys did get the better of us, so I'm sure that makes you a little happier. And of course, Madden is out now, so the people could follow league updates and stuff like that at Madden UG on Twitter. Is that right?
It's actually UG Madden.
UG Madden, that's right. So UG Madden on Twitter. I got that wrong. I put the UG at the end, but it is at the beginning. So UG Madden, and how's everything going with the new leagues and whatnot? Have you actually dove into any of that? We'll dive a little further in a little bit, but how's the new league seem?
It's pretty good. We actually picked teams for our Xbox league yesterday, and then we'll be picking teams for our PS5 league tonight.
You love to hear that. So you guys are fully in the swing of things. And how long has that been out now? For a week or so, or not?
Yeah, actually officially a day. It came out Friday night, officially, but they had the pre-release. They had the pre-release come out on I think Tuesday night. So
it hasn't even been all too long yet. So that's pretty cool. Still brand new stuff right there.
Definitely.
Stunna, how we doing tonight, my friend? Welcome in. Are you ready to talk some Madden and Bucks Titans with our good friend here?
Oh man, I love talking shop. Everything's great. Ready for an awesome season. God is good.
Yep, that's what you love to hear right there. And real quick, fellas, before we get cranking, I want to talk a little bit about Tom Brady. Not that it was ever too big of a concern to most Bucs fans and most followers of the team out there, but it has been brought attention by Adam Schefter and more within the past couple hours that Tom Brady is expected back this week as early as tomorrow, and it's expected to be earlier in the week than later in the week, so presumed to be tomorrow's, and then walkthroughs start Tuesday and whatnot. So, Brian, I want to get your take as a Titans fan and as a fan of another team. What was your thoughts on the whole Brady situation kind of here, and he's stepping away for personal matters or personal issues. And then, some people speculate in the worst, and will he be back? Well, that was obviously a foolish thought, in my opinion, to begin with. But now we are getting confirmation that he will be back this week. Kind of just your thoughts as a football fan in general on the whole Brady situation, because it is a unique one and, not really common.
I just think that sometimes, Brady's been in the league for over 20 years now. So, it's him being in the league that long. If he needs that time away, sometimes you got to let him take that time away. He has a family, wife, kids. 20 years, the kids are almost grown now. So may have been a family issue. Seems like it probably was something personal. But yeah, let him, if he needs that time away, whatever Brady needs, he's earned that right and deserves to be able to step away for that period of time, however much he needs.
That was my views on it personally. Brady's a pro's pro. Pirate for Life uploaded a video of Brady going ham after one of the last practices he was at. So he's clearly putting all in. And like you said, it is a personal matter seemingly. So let him get right. Let him get the time he needs. Stunna, what say you, my friend? What are your thoughts on the Brady situation and the official news that he should be back in a couple of days at the latest?
Well, preseason football really not for veterans. I like to see all the veterans rest during the preseason. A couple years ago, they had LaDainian Tomlinson. He never played in the preseason, and that's where it started. Because why risk injury? These guys know the preseason more for the developmental players or rookies to get acclimated to the NFL. And with Brady, I think he had a vacation plan or something. But remember, he had retired, so you don't know what kind of plans he made during that time. And as far as Bucs Nation, as far as we're concerned, we're just glad he's back, And anything he can give us is a plus, because we pretty much had to, face reality of moving on without him. And this also is a pretty good indicator. It's probably it for him, But Brady's Brady, man. He's a legend. He's an icon. And all of us fans, even Titan fans, I think, appreciate him being in the league one more year to see greatness personified. And the man, the myth, the legend, Tom Brady.
The thing with Tom Brady is, he's one of the faces of NFL. So whenever he's involved in the game, it's just better for the game, for the media coverage, for everything. It's kind of like, you go around the sports. It's like Ohtani in baseball. When he's playing, it's better. LeBron in basketball, whatever you think about him, when he's playing, he is better. So it's like those polarizing athletes when they're around the sport. It is better. So I agree. I think definitely, football fans outside the NFC South probably are pretty happy at the return of Tom Brady, and it will be an interesting season to say the least, whatever he was dealing with, whether it was family stuff, personal stuff, just vacationing, or just straight out dealing with business ventures. As we know, he's a businessman. It could have been a lot of things. So now that he's back, you heard a lot of rumors, even as far as the Masked Singer, but those will all be put to rest. And as long as he comes up balling, Todd Bowles didn't even rule out him playing a couple snaps in Indianapolis, perhaps. So Mike chimes in and goes,
I'm gonna rule that out. I don't think he makes the trip. But go ahead.
I don't think he should be taking any snaps done. Personally, I agree with you, because what good would it do? Just gonna risk injury. And we'll get into last night. Speaking of injury, a little bit. Mike says last night performance looked like 1976, a whole lot of nothing to get excited about. Well, Mike, we'll get Brian's thoughts here shortly from a Titans perspective. But, it was preseason, and, you are watching to get a good feel on the second and third stringers or the guy competing for starting jobs. But I think it was just an underwhelming game in general. You did see
I disagree with that. I think Leonard Fournette looked good. I think Kyle Rudolph looked good. I think whoever made that comment, he's go back and look at the film.
Yeah, I agree. I was going to point out a couple other guys as well. If you notice the video, the background of the video is Fedekasi. He swarmed everywhere, number 53, to get good repetitions for the backup linebacker job. And then Sinet from USF, a defensive lineman, competing. We had backups make some splashes and signs of life Williamson, Prevalin, he did pretty good as well. But as far as main guys go, it was nothing but a little bit of disappointment and injuries for the most part, besides the guys you named and whatnot, in a 13-3 ugly looking game between the Titans and Bucks. Mr. Brian James, what say you from a Titans perspective, not only on the Titans but about the Bucks? We'll get into practices in a little bit, but specifically last night's game, what did you see? I know Malik Willis looked pretty elusive for starters.
He looked elusive. Malik Willis definitely looked elusive. He missed a lot of open reads though. It was just certain reads that he could have just took the easy check down and didn't have to do all the running. And I know that's what Coach Vrabel was alluding to in the press conference, was that he didn't want to see him running in the game. We know he can run. They wanted to see him more so do some things from the pocket. He threw a touchdown pass. I like the tight end, Chiggy. I like what Treylon Burks brought to the table yesterday. He showed a lot of progress. And Joe Jones in our linebacking core, he had a very impressive game. Had an interception, a couple big tackles, and also Adrian Colbert, the acquisition we got from the 49ers. He wasn't a trade, but we signed him free agency. Lot of big plays. He actually had a big hit. I thought it was going to be a penalty because it was kind of a late hit in the game. But that was a great addition to the secondary.
Was that the hit on Stearns?
It's definitely the hit on Stearns. It was. I thought it was a late hit. I expected a flag to be called, but they didn't call it. But it's preseason. I guess they're not calling as tight as they do it in the regular season.
Mm-hmm. And I kind of hope, those bang plays, I don't mind those not being called. I agree with you. It could have been a flag for sure. But even as a Buck fan, it's nice to just see a big hit like that. But it was good to see Stearns get back up, and he wasn't really dazed. So that's the most important thing, is his health. But I agree. There were some Titans defenders, the run stuffer up the middle. He made a couple big plays. I forget the big man's name.
Tart.
Yep, Tart.
Yeah.
He was all over the place, man. He looks pretty primed. And then they had a couple guys. I mean, I don't think Whiteside, their third string quarterback, is going to be toeing the leather anytime soon, which is a benefit for them. But I mean, Malik Willis does look primed to take on the backup role. He's a little rusty, but you expect that out of a mid-round pick from Liberty. They're not going to have all the tools at day's end.
Definitely. I was actually, like I said, he showed some spurts of excitement with the run and the mobility and things like that. But there were a few reads that if he made them from the pocket, especially it was a play where Treylon Burks was crossed in the middle and was wide open, but he started scrambling and didn't even throw the ball and run out of bounds.
And all the Burks chirping, before we get Stunna's thoughts on the game, he gave a little bit. We'll crack into those more. It kind of cracks me up because every offseason you've been hearing some people complaining about some sort of first-round rookie wide receiver. A couple years ago, it was Justin Jefferson was going to be third-string or fourth-string receiver on Minnesota. Last year it was Jamar Chase struggling with stripes on the football or saying something about the size of the ball. This year it was Treylon Burks and his conditioning. So, everyone's always got something to say, and I think Burks could find himself having a successful wide receiver number 2 role once Robert Woods returns, to full health for that Titans offense. Stunna, what say you about the game, about the Titans, Bucks, or just in general? I don't think there's too much cause for concern. We know how preseason is. I don't get why people are really freaking out. Like you said, we had some veterans that played some useful, effective snaps, and they're along with some reserve role players as well.
Yeah, as far as the Titans go, I think the receiver they got from UCLA that had a punt return on us was a little more impressive.
Yeah, he was definitely impressive. Kyle Phillips definitely had a great.
Phillips looked like the real deal, man. They got Adam. I would say Adam Hayward, but I know that ain't it. From us years ago, it's kind of like in that role as a punt returner / slot receiver. As far as the Bucks go, other than missing a bunch of sacks because Malik Willis is just an elite athlete. I thought we did pretty good. We did a good job keeping him on the end zone. The one touchdown we gave was just like in the Miami game was a sudden change where you give him a short field off a turnover. teams that have to drive the ball on us, they usually don't get in the end zone. You just have to settle for 3. And like you said about the chirping, some people have been said some things about Todd Bowles. I think Todd Bowles doing a great job, and I always liked his interviews when he was with the Jets. He's just a real matter of fact, straight up, keeping it 100 type guy, and I just I love that in a head coach.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just been a fan of Todd Bowles ever since he was with the Jets. When they came down here and they played us real tight that year, when they had Fitzpatrick, we had McCown. It was kind of funny. Or no, we had Fitzpatrick. They had McCown, but we had it was just a funny game. But the defense was real impressive for the Jets then, and I think our defense has been impressive this year. And you mentioned 53 and KJ Britt. I've always been a fan of him. Our middle linebackers are really nice. And I thought Joe Tryon had a hell of a game.
Oh,
and
he did. He did.
Yeah.
He did.
Now look at his Madden ranking. His Madden ranking, they have him ranked lower than Nassib, one of our new signees.
Yeah.
So they've been sizing my man bad on Madden. But the problem is if you play exhibition 1-on-1, you either get a mutt team going or you go straight to franchise. So nobody really looks at the ratings and how they be sizing our defense. But as far as the game, the Titans have an elite defense. It's kind of like last time we played them, where it was kind of a defensive struggle and into the fourth quarter, and that's what we expect when we see them. These will be 2 of the most used teams in Madden this year, I'm sure. And I just think that as Bucs fans, you got to learn how to enjoy some success for once, man. We got a good team this year. Let's enjoy it. Let's not be grapping. But we do have to quit getting injuries, and that's especially in the O-line. That's been an issue.
Yeah, you're alluding to that. Aaron Stinney getting hurt, and it did come back today. He tore his ACL in yesterday's game and MCL. So Buccaneers guard/tackle competing for the starting left guard spot. Aaron Stinney is out for the season, and now that puts us at 3 injuries on the offensive line.
That may be why Brady disappeared.
Yeah, Brady's seen Jensen get hurt, Worse get hurt, and now Stinney get hurt. But for the Stinney news, Bucs fans needed that relief and confirmation of Brady coming back today. So at least
let me jump in there real quick.
Yep.
The reason Brady disappeared, he doesn't like the inter team scrimmages. If you remember, that was the issue when he was with New England. That he didn't want to participate when the other teams came in and did the scrimmages and stuff. Okay. So if you notice, his absence was right when the Miami came in, all the way through the Tennessee inter scrimmages. Then he's supposed to report early this week, which means he's going to come in at the beginning of this week before they fly out to Indy. So I think, the vacation, whatever, I think he just like, look, man, this is my last year, and I don't really want to participate in this garbage because he doesn't see it as valuable. And if you remember, that was a point of contention between him and Belichick.
Yeah, and I think you're right on that as well, Stunna. Brady didn't like those either, so that's another good possibility. Satino is joining us today. We can't play like that week 1. He also says, go Bucks. Well, I assure you our defense actually played pretty good yesterday between Sinet and Britt, and Prevalin. We named those guys, Fatakusi. So there were bright signs of depth there, and even our starters. I mean, the game was 13-3. It's not like it was a ragdoll game. So as much play as there was out there for the most part. But we do appreciate you joining tonight, brother. And just one quick thing before we move to practice talk quickly, and then we got time for a lot of Madden chatter as we're live until 6:45 Eastern, 5:45 Central on episode number 79 of the Buccateers with Brian James from UG Madden Underground. So Tristan Wirfs, some thought he'd be out 4 to 8 weeks. He's actually listed as day-to-day according to Todd Bowles, which is a sigh of relief for Bucs fans. And Todd Bowles did say Tristan Wirfs should be ready to go for week 1. So that's huge there as we lose Aaron Stinney for the year perhaps, but we gain a confirmation of hope that Wirfs should be ready to roll for week 1. Brian, we'll start with you here. Bucs Titans had a couple practices this week. Obviously, Bucs have been getting banged up, but those practices are fun. They're they're a little bit more meaningful than the preseason games perhaps in terms of, actual getting accustomed to reps and competition, things like that. First off, the Titans suffer any big injuries this week? Shout out to Nick Garcia for watching as well on Facebook tonight. We appreciate it. But did Titans suffer any injuries in preseason to this point or practices? And what stood out to you on Tennessee's side of the ball from not the game, but the couple practices that the Bucs and Titans held together this week?
For the most part, Tennessee's been getting in and out of practice healthy so far. Fingers crossed. We keep that going.
Mm-hmm.
But in regards to practices, I from what I've seen on YouTube and things like that, the competition level was high. I saw a lot of people alluding to the fact that possibly Julio Jones is washed up now. I know that's been trending on Twitter for the most part. I don't know if have you guys seen anything about it, but they were saying that he was washed up, and we were relieved to get rid of him. So I don't know, but outside of that, practices looked real competitive. I know there were a few one-on-ones that I liked. I enjoyed the Christian Fulton, Mike Evans one-on-ones that I witnessed. Those were very, very competitive. Mike Evans got the best of them on most of them. I enjoyed the Julio Christian Fulton matchup too. That was actually a good one. And then the battles in the trenches. That's where the offense and the defense, they have to impose their will, and that's where most of the games are won and lost at, in the trenches. So those battles were very entertaining to watch as well.
Yeah, Fulton Evans, Fulton Jones, those are good ones. I think Simmons and Fournette got into it a little bit this week as well. So it's been a good week, and a lot of good repetition going on. Those one-on-ones are a lot of fun to watch. It's hard for the defenders to keep up with the wide receivers because they're just playing freely. But I think that those are a lot of fun. Stunna, what say you? I'll get your thoughts on the Julio Jones thing and the week of practices between the Bucs and the Titans.
Who said that he was washed, or Brian, or what was the finality with that? Were they just saying that he didn't look dominant, or what was the?
They just said it was sad to see a great player lose that explosiveness that he once had. It's like he was missing that explosiveness, and they were like he looked like a shell of himself, and the videos of the practice and things like that. So.
Okay, well, I can agree with that. He definitely is a shell of himself from his Atlanta days. And part of the problem when you get old is your legs get tired. So he's running on, used tires, basically, and he's not his old self. But what Tennessee wanted him to do is be wide receiver number 2. We're in Tampa. He's wide receiver number 4.
4, yeah.
Him being wide receiver number 4, being a Hall of Fame caliber player and still having elite, ball skills and route running, it really isn't going to matter that he can't outrun, the cornerback ones of the world, because he's going to be seeing linebackers and safeties.
Yeah.
So he'll be fine with us. Now, if we get in an injury situation, he's got to go out there and be wide receiver 2. We might be in trouble. Similarly, what happened to us in the playoffs, where we had to lean heavily on Tyler Johnson and Scotty Miller, and like you saw in the game with Scotty Miller trying to run that out route, anytime he gets bodied up, he's ineffective. He has to work with separation with his elite speed, which is why he plays on the outside a lot. But I think some of the criticism we're getting is Buck Nation is kind of silly. If you watch the two, Blaine Gabbert was only for 2 drives, and he was blaming them. He missed the out route to Scotty, and he missed the choice route to Kyle Rudolph, and that was it, man. He looked fine. The holes were there in the running game. Now, we didn't run block well when that group went out, but of course, these are bad. Maybe Tennessee has more depth than us,
we definitely have more depth at the D-line position.
Right. And that's because our O-line is banged up. So, so we got O-line injuries. Of course, our second, now our third string becomes our second string, et cetera. So, these are both playoff caliber teams. I thought that they went out there and played well, but you can't really look at it from a Bucs standard past the first quarter.
I hear you on that, as a lot of guys were in and out after that first quarter. Obviously, Gabbert, Sean Murphy, Bunting, and those were just taste testing the field. Even a guy like Tyler Johnson didn't play a lot beyond the first quarter. As we wrap up preseason / practice talk here, and then we'll get into Madden talk for the rest of the show. Brian, we'll start with you here. Titans preseason week 3. Who do they got, and anything you look forward to in that one before the toe meets leather on September 11th?
Let me actually check. Let me see preseason Titans. I don't even know they have this week coming
Yeah,
up.
I know Bucks have your foes, Indianapolis. I'll actually be in Indy for Bucks Indy. Stunning, before we get to Brian and Titans, any thoughts on preseason week 3 for Bucks Colts or things you'd like to see?
Versus the Colts, I just want to see our secondary improve, because I don't think they have an elite receiver group. So I'd like to see us really lock them down. So a reflection I have about the preseason is I like to play the AFC. I was watching Miami versus Oakland, and I'm thinking this doesn't really make sense. These two teams might see each other in the playoffs. Why would they give each other a tip-off in the preseason? Because you could pick things up in them practices. Let's be honest.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, why are you playing an AFC team? If I'm in the preseason and the throwaway games anyway, I'm going to play out of conference every time. So I thought that was a bit odd, but Indianapolis, no, they're a physical run team. We're a physical run stuffing team, so both of our strengths should be on display. But I want to see our secondary, look the part. Obviously because we get into Madden talk, the shade that we get thrown on our secondary is ridiculous. And I just want to see us be healthy. I'd like to see Kyle Trask start and Ryan Griffin take over in the second half and not even play Blaine Gabbert. So that's something else I'd like to see. All of our starters be in T-shirts.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned that. That's a good point. Preseason should almost be solely against outside conference opponents, either AFC versus NFC, that aren't on your schedule. So the only time you could possibly otherwise meet up with them would be the Super Bowl. It doesn't do much good to meet teams you might meet either in the regular season or the playoffs. But I'm looking forward to being at Colts Bucks. One of the reasons is I'm getting a little tired of watching preseason on the TV. I want regular season here, damn it. So at least I'll be in attendance. It'll be able to ease the pain a little bit there. And then I'm just looking forward to, like you said, Stenna, looking at the secondary, kind of studying our secondary a little bit, studying our backups a little bit. Hopefully I could talk to some of the Bucks players and the guys or coaches that weekend in Indianapolis. I know last year I was lucky enough to talk to Shelton Corals a little bit that Friday before the Bucks Colts game down there, former linebacker, Super Bowl champion, now member of the front office, Super Bowl champion. So I hope I run into a couple guys. I'm looking forward to hopefully the Bucks staying healthy, getting out of that game injury free. That is the ultimate key there. And to me, it'll be interesting, Bucks Colts, because I wouldn't be surprised by the time week 1 hits if some of these Bucks receivers near the bottom of our depth chart, because we're loaded. We're 12 deep at wide receiver if you count these 3 undrafted free agents, Tompkins, Stearns, and Geiger, who have actually looked good at times and looked pretty effective in training camp and practice. But, they'll be on teams right away. So you look at a team like the Colts, and you might see a Cyril Grayson or a Brashad Perriman if they don't make it somehow, or one of these undrafted free agents perhaps end up, you never know, maybe a Colt, maybe a Bear, maybe a Texan. A lot of wide receiver needy teams could be looking at the Bucks wide receiver room, licking their chops. So hopefully we get out of there healthy and the secondary does look a little bit better. Brian, before we get to Madden talk, any update on Titans preseason week 3 and anything you're going to keep your eyes on?
We play the Cardinals. I just checked. We play the Cardinals. We get an opportunity to test that secondary. I know they've been rotating defenders, defensive backs in the secondary, trying to figure out who could play where. We know that we got Bayard and Armani back there playing pretty well. They're just trying to figure out if Caleb Farley is a good complementary corner to Christian Fulton, and he's a high draft pick, so they want him to perform to the level that he was drafted at. But if he doesn't live up to the potential, they're gonna have to probably move in a different direction. But he's definitely extremely talented. It's just him. He's a taller defender. He's 6'2", 6'3". So he has a little problem covering the smaller receivers. You got to get a little bit lower. You got to be a little bit more agile. And his agility is being extremely tested. As you can see that you guys had a few smaller receivers out there on the field, and they were eating against him. So I want to see how he does with the coach. I mean, not the coach, but the Cardinal receivers, because they're speedy, smaller receivers as well, and he'll get an opportunity to put his acumen and skill set to the test.
Yeah, that's always interesting to see those big, tall, physical DBs line up against those little wide receivers. You know, it's a challenging matchup for them. And nowadays in the NFL, you're getting a lot more of those little type wide receivers, those scat back types who could line up at a wide receiver, who could be a swing type running back, you know. So that'll be interesting to watch as well. Hopefully the Titans have their top 2 corners in lockdown mode heading into the regular season for your sakes. And I think, you know, pretty good as a Titans fan. At least you get Tampa and Arizona with some nice wide receiver rooms to go up against before the regular season does come. So pretty good stuff there, fellas. We got about 15 minutes left, so we're going to open up the floor to the game we love, and it is now out, and as Brian alluded to earlier, been out for a couple days now, or a week or so, depending on when you got it. Madden 23 is fresh off the press, and Stunna, I know you're big into Madden, so I'm going to open the floor to you if you have any questions first for Brian, because I know sometimes, you know, we lose time for questions. So I'm going to let you handle the first batch of questions about Madden, or the first Madden discussions if we have any. And shout out to B. Hank for joining us this evening on Facebook.
That's right. No, I don't know. I haven't looked at the new ratings or whatever that came out. And we know when it comes to Madden, the player ratings is probably the most important thing, because just like the NFL Top 100, it's a highly disputed list, but at the same time, it's where you get national recognition and national esteem and national respect from. So you have to somewhat give kudos or credit to the list, even if you don't agree with it, because it's what's being accepted nationwide as far as these players' abilities and talents and skill level. So I wanted to know what if the current list. I heard a rumor that they dropped the Bucs, which I wouldn't be surprised. We always get disrespected on there, but they've already dropped us since the game released from the dang promo. And I was just wondering if that's still legit, and if our players are still vastly underrated, especially on the D line, O line, and secondary.
And honestly, the Buccaneers are the best team on the game. If you have like if you're playing in head-to-head ranked matches and things like that, the majority of teams that you're going to run into the Packers, the Bucs, and possibly the Bengals, and the Chargers as well. Chargers, Bucs, Bengals, and teams like that. But Buccaneers are still the highest rated team on the game. They play to that level. Mike Evans is extremely unguardable one-on-one. You have to have help. You definitely have to have help on Mike Evans. With them adding Julio and Kyle Rudolph, they're definitely, the offense is explosive. Leonard Fournette, he's playing up to his real life, you know, self in the game. So the
like he was with the Jags, right?
Yeah, when he was a Jag, with the you know, so you know they got him playing. The Buccaneers are one of the fan favorite teams within the Madden community, just based on the fact that you know they gave Tom Brady a lot of abilities that majority of the quarterbacks on the game don't even have. So he's basically has everything on the game. He's the best. You know, he's the highest rated quarterback on the game, and things like that. So you can't really. I know you want to complain and say this and that about the Bucs in Madden, but they're actually a pretty good team this year on Madden.
We'll take the kudos any way we can get.
That's good to hear, my friend. You know, Brady having that ability and whatnot. So what you're saying is, when you're joining these leagues and whatnot, are Bucs one of the first teams off the board, or how does that work for picking teams in your league?
The thing is, what it is in real life. In franchise mode, we do franchise mode leagues. So in franchise mode, you kind of have to be a GM, and when you're picking a team, you have to have your GM hat on. So the thing about picking a Buccaneers in franchise mode is that you may only get Brady for 1 year. He may retire on you. So that's one thing. If you can extend him, get him to play, talk him into negotiate with him, get him to play extra year, then you get to play with him a second year, then that's a plus. But even without Brady, the team is a juggernaut, you know. So yeah, they're definitely one of the first teams picked in all franchise leagues around the world. So I would recommend, if you're a Bucs fan and you want to play with the Bucs in franchise mode or a competitive franchise mode, definitely take the Bucs. Just know that there's a possibility that Brady may retire, You may have to find a new quarterback. And I don't know how confident you guys are in your backups to run the show. So that's just something you have to deliberate with yourself.
Yeah, I got a couple questions, and then we'll turn it back to Stunna.
Okay.
For your franchise or for your league play, does it carry over year to year based on your league? So, like, if you opened a league in last year's Madden, does it carry over to this year's Madden? And how many years do you aim for the franchise to last? So, say you start a league this year. How many years in the video game do you expect that to last? So, like you said, the Bucs, Brady might retire next year. So, will you, advance years in Madden 23 and play multiple years into the future, or do you guys take it year by year and separate it based on when Madden comes out? You take it season by season.
Oh no. Well, franchise. The first to answer the first question, the 22 franchise does not roll over into 23. Okay, so and then to answer your second question, you play. We play multiple years within the year. So like within the one Madden year calendar year. So you have your Madden calendar. You have August to August. So we try to play as many seasons as we can from August to August. We start in September, but September to August.
Right.
And it's fun. That's how most franchises do. They try to get in as many years as they can. If you got a group of guys that are playing at a rapid pace, you may be able to get in 7-8 years.
Wow.
And it's like this. Just it depends on how hungry and how active the leagues that you are in they play. So if some guys want to reset, because then you have the draft class that comes in and you get to see the rookies and things like that. So you want to reset and play with the rookies on the team that they were drafted to in the previous year's game. So those are different things, different scenarios that come about within playing franchise mode in Madden. But for the most part, this year is probably going to be the best franchise year ever because EA actually gave attention to the game in that sense or that particular mode where you can negotiate contracts. You can give a player-friendly contract, a team-friendly contract. They actually have if you're playing in certain cities and states. Certain cities and states don't have taxes, so players are more intrigued to playing for those certain teams when a free agency comes about. So it's pretty deep, it's pretty realistic, and it's pretty fun.
Man, that's really cool. So, that is one of the things in real life that you always hear about with like the Jaguars or the Dolphins or the Buccaneers, why free agents do go there is for that tax. So to see them make the game that realistic, that's exciting to see. And that's pretty cool that you could play up to 7 to 8 years in the future because it's like, you could be a Buccaneers team. It could be 2027 in Madden year. You could have Lamar Jackson at quarterback.
Exactly. You never
could
know.
have, you never know, Evan Ingram out of tight end. So many options out there that could come to fruition. So pretty cool stuff there. That's really awesome and making me almost want to join a league. Stunna, what say you on league play and any other Madden talk that might be on your mind?
I say to each their own. I like an authentic. I'm old school. I started playing Madden when it first came out, and I don't think if I'm playing a season, it shouldn't go beyond that season. And with a franchise, you got made up players and stuff, and it's just kind of weird seeing cartoon faces and stuff. I like to see the real players.
Actually, though. Not to interrupt you, but actually, like when you finish the season, when the draft comes around, you can actually import a draft class with the actual players from college. So that's another element that's been added to the game, where you can import those players from college that are actually in the current draft class, or you can have draft each players from each draft class year by year. So it could be the seniors from this year, then the next year to be the juniors that are seniors the next year, and then and so on and so on. So that's elements that they've implemented into the game. And then with NCAA coming out next year, it's gonna make it even more fun because you just be able to import those players directly from the NCAA game into the Madden.
Holy crap.
Like you could win the Heisman and then import them into your NFL.
Exactly. Yes. And that storyline to follow. So that's crazy.
A Bryce Young or CJ Stroud would be in that game, for example.
Definitely.
That's pretty wild. Stunna, keep going.
So I was just saying that with the franchise. So Basically, Madden Underground Madden, you guys got franchise leagues. You do tournaments.
Yes.
Is there anything else that you're involved in with it? You do
We
like a superstar knockout or anything like that, or is it
Oh yeah,
just
definitely. Superstar knockout is something that we're definitely getting into this year,
yeah,
which is allows multiple players to play together. So that's
right,
that's
right.
that's that's the part. So if us three want to get on the game one day and play as a team and try to compete against some bums on the internet, let's do it. You know what I mean? We can do it now. So like, so
I know Mike Evans was a beast at Superstar Knockout. He would run that
oh,
fade, and you couldn't stop it unless
you
you
couldn't
doubled
stop
it.
it at all.
Yeah.
And now when you play on teams, like they gave you like signature moves for those particular players that you can actually activate with the controllers and the controls now in regards to releasing and beating the press and things like that. So I think, like I said, I've been a fierce critic of the Madden series for a long time, but this year was probably one of the better years within the last 6 years that I've been playing it.
And what about your Tennessee Titans? Have you liked, or do you play with them in your league play primarily, or when you do these, do you like to, because sometimes I feel like you have two types of Madden players. You have your type like, Stunna and myself who are like, all right, we're going to be the Bucks. We're going to try and replicate Bucks in reality. Or, sometimes you have the people where it's like, I'm a Chiefs fan, but I'm going to tinker out there and use a team that, I either want to build from top to bottom like the Lions and rebuild them, or I want to have some fun and be a team like the Eagles with Jalen Hurts. What's your type of prototype in Madden? Are you a Titans guy, or do you try and have fun and pick a different team?
I think my thing is I'm a Titans guy. So I if I can get the Titans, I definitely play with the Titans. But when you have a franchise league, you have a wide array of guys, different types of guys that join these leagues. You have guys that want to play with the best team because they feel like they're the best with the best team and they suck without being the best team. And there's nothing wrong with that. Then you have the guys that like you said team builders. They want to pick the worst team and build that team up into a juggernaut. And then those guys that's where they get their fulfillment for playing the game. And then you have guys that want to be GMs and they just want to make trades and blockbuster trades all day, and try to make their team the best or see who can pull off the biggest trade and things like that. But it's just fun to have those different types of people all competing together because everybody is playing for a different reason. There's 32 guys playing for a different reason, and they're all having fun in unison, which is rare because the state of world and state of society right now it's rare that people can come together and have fun and have a great time within in different ecosystems, but I love it, man. It's because you get an opportunity to play with a group of different guys who all have a different mindset and a different approach to building teams and playing, and it's just fun. It's fun.
And I feel like that's the beauty of video games, right? Because you get the ability to come together, play with people, kind of put the real life shit to the side a little bit, and you're just having fun out there. And another element of it is it's kind of realistic because every NFL GM, every NFL coach thinks one way or another. So you are getting that realistic type feel when you're getting X, Y, or Z to run Seattle, and they're thinking one way, or you get someone to run Carolina, they're thinking in other ways. So it is pretty cool in that aspect as well that it has that realness feel to it with all the different mindsets and whatnot.
Definitely.
Stunna, you got any more Madden questions? And we're gonna get to wrap ups and one big things before we walk on out of here in a little bit.
I wonder if the Titans going to have Malik as the cheat code, or they're still going to use the scrambling quarterback and run around the backfield and throw to the guy who breaks late, because nobody runs contain, or if the defense is a little better this time.
Oh man, the defense is the defense is trending on Twitter right now because it's so hard to score in Madden right now. Like it's so hard, it's extremely hard. You got pass rushes. The pass rush is crazy. If you got guys like Bosa, Khalil Mack, any elite TJ Watt, any elite pass rusher, those guys are literally impossible to block one-on-one. So you don't have very much time. So sometimes you need a mobile quarterback to move the pocket. And then on top of that, just like in real life and the internet, you can't just go out there and just bomb it every time and score.
Right.
Like the coverage is tighter now. So that's something that the community complained about. And the devs went ahead and adjusted the defensive side of the ball so that you can play defense to combat all these crazy offenses or crazy things that you can do on the offensive side of the ball.
And do you think, the defensive thing, you said the DNs are looking really nice, hard to block him, especially the elite ones and so forth, the edge rushers. Time to time, we see it every year where Madden kind of has a once a game breakdown or a glitch where like one certain thing happens over and over. Does it feel like one of those things more so, or does it feel like, hey, once I get the feel of the game, once I get the learn of the game, there will be things I could do to adjust and block those guys? Which of your thought is it? Is it going to be one of those things where Madden players hop on and go, here I go again, no matter what I do, the left end's going to get through because it's one of those Madden things, or are there going to be alternate things from learning the game that you could do perhaps?
Well, honestly, every year there's certain things that just you have the recreational Madden player who picks up the game, and they just from them picking it up recreationally, there's certain things that they won't know. Then you have the competitive gamer who just plays all day, and this is what they do 24/7. There's gonna be things that those players know that the recreational player doesn't know. So if your left tackle is giving up a sack every time, you don't know how to stop this edge rusher. This player may motion his receiver and stop him when he gets to the left tackle and snap the ball to make sure his receiver stays right there and helps that left tackle. So, and he'll stop and block. He won't go out on the route. He'll stop and he'll just block because he's behind the lineman. So if you stop a receiver and snap the ball while he's in motion, you can actually pick up a defensive end or a blitzing linebacker off the edge or whatever side is you're getting beat by. So those are little things that the recreational player may not know because they don't play it as much, that the pro guys, the competitive players know a little bit more about. So you can always go to YouTube, or you can visit Madden Underground. We'll be giving tips on those type of things this year as well. So MaddenUnderground.com, check us out. But we'll be giving tips on those things as well. Just little things that you can implement into your game to become a better player. And sometimes you don't have to really fret about or hit the red alert button or panic about because certain things that happen that you don't think should be happening in the game. We'll give you solutions and things to combat those type of things as well.
And that's why you guys are the best. You could find all these tips and tricks over at MaddenUnderground.com online, or you could find him on Twitter. I know I have it wrong in the bottom down there. I have Madden UG, but it is UG Madden. You could find our friends over on Twitter. So for more tips, tricks, and treats of the game, go to MaddenUnderground.com or UG Madden on Twitter. Shout out to Levi Swilling viewing on Facebook tonight. Stunna, before we get to walk-offs and closeouts, any last questions, my friend?
Nah, man, just keep on hitting us on the Buccateers Twitter feed anytime there's a tournament. Okay. I know, Tones and I going to work. We're going to practice a little bit, try to see if we can jump on some of them this year and represent. I know that Mr. Buck Nation did a simulation and the Cowboys blew us out, so I'm a little concerned that the Cowboys are getting overrated on that bet.
Yeah.
And other than that, man, I'm ready for the walk off and such, and it's been a pleasure having you on again, and you're welcome anytime.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, Brian James, we'll start with you. And before we let you do your walk-off closeout and let you go, I do hope, usually during the Bucks bye week, we have like an hour and a half long live show just about gambling or Madden or, fun things like that when the Bucks aren't playing. So hopefully fantasy and all that good stuff. We got pop-up shows like that on bye weeks or Pro Bowl week, etc. So we hope before season's end, we can get you on at least one more time or a couple more times to talk about Madden and the season and fantasy football and the progression of football in general. But any last things on episode number 79, your second time on the Buccateers? We appreciate you joining. Any things in your walk-off and then close out, or one big thing you got to tell the show before you're out of here, my friend, or, just program updates of Madden Underground in general?
Again, thank you guys for having me again. Appreciate it. We'll be doing we got this thing called the Fast Money Tournaments that will be starting every Monday. It starts next week. We'll be doing our first one. It's 16-man tournaments. We do it limited to 16 players. They'll be able to compete. There'll be streaming, commentary and things like that. And then there'll be a $300 prize pool to the winner. well, the winner take all $300 to the winner and things like that. So it's definitely something you want to check out if you're a competitive Madden player or a player that just wants to get into it and get your feet wet. And then you can sign up for that at MaddenUnderground.com. The registration will be available next week on the website, and you click on it on the tournament section. But just visit Madden Underground. If you have any Madden questions, feel free to hit us on UG Madden on Twitter, and check us out. We have a weekly podcast as well on Twitch. Via Twitch is just search Madden Underground and we'll pop up on there, and on Spotify. We're featured on Spotify and Apple Podcasts as well.
And next time you stop by, whether it's on bye week, Pro Bowl week, or just a pop-up show in general, you best believe you got to bring back our guys Snipes and Philly Guy to talk
definitely
football as well. We love those guys. We love all you, man.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks again, Brian. And
you guys got to come on our podcast.
Hey, anytime you want, man. Just you know where to find me. You know where to find me. I think same goes for you, Stunna. Ain't that right?
Yeah, man. You get Tone. If you get Tone's information, he'll forward it to me. Yeah, nothing.
Okay. Yeah, we got to get you guys on our podcast too, man. We got a lot of Bucs fans that watch our show as well.
Well, yeah, tell them to get questions up, because you got the two super fans right here. We go to home games, we go to away games. Man, I've been born and raised Tampa, Florida. Man, I've been around the whole time for the franchise. I'm like an encyclopedia when it comes to Buccaneer football, man. So you tell them getting questions up, I can answer 20 questions straight about the Bucs.
Definitely. We'll set that up, man.
He is like a human history book on the Bucs. So that's your guy for history. I'm pretty good as well. We both bring different things to the table, so we'd love to, my friend.
I can tell you right now, my worst Titans memory, man. 1988, at home in Raymond James, game on the line. Brad Culpepper goes to sack Steve McNair, and he whiffs on the sack, and McNair takes off, runs 70 yards for a touchdown.
Oh, yeah.
That was the worst.
McNair was, a different breed. Well, we could have a whole episode.
Yeah, but you were at the game, man, and you're at a home game, and you watched the guy do that and take your heart out, man. That was crazy.
Yeah, I was going crazy watching it too. I think I was in the 7th grade when that happened. So yeah. So
it was like a Sunday night game, or so it was a night game. I know that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I remember that one. I was in 7th grade. I love that. I remember trying to imitate that the following week in my football practice, but it didn't happen. Didn't go the same way.
I'll tell you a story, man. I used to do that with the Hurricanes, man. I grew up a Hurricane fan, and Leon Searcy was my biggest idol. Oh, and wow. also Ian Beckles for the Bucs was one of my idols growing up, and he actually is on 95.3 WDAE now as a radio host. Yeah, man. So those were my two idols growing up, and I used to, Leon Searcy, man, I used to try to imitate him every day at practice.
Nice.
Those are the little things, the nuances of the game, why we love it as fans, because we try and replicate it, or, do it ourselves, Like you guys said, you tried to do McNair, he tried to do Beckles. I would try and do Elstott or Simeon Rice or Warren Sapp type things back in the day, all to fail myself. But once again, Mr. Brian, thank you so much for joining us this evening, my friend. We do appreciate it.
Thanks for having me again, man. Appreciate it.
Yep, and guys, that was Brian James, a great guy, friend of the shows. You could follow him on Twitter at UG Madden or MaddenUnderground.com for your latest updates on Madden, anything Madden. Stunna, since I got to bounce shortly, any last words, walk-off, close out of the shows before we get out of here?
I will close it out like this. It might be preseason, but Bucs Nation and the Bucs fans are in regular season form. You saw us getting rowdy and bowdy right here in the home game against the Dolphins, our little cousins. And you've seen a lot of red up there in Tennessee. Man, it's Buccaneer invasion season. This is our last year with the GOAT. We got to make these road games. We got to make these home games. We got to make this season special from a fan's perspective. Go Bucs.
And we're going to do that, Stunna. Me and you are going to go to a couple of games specifically. I'm road tripping to Indy, Cleveland, and Atlanta. Me and you are going to take on Atlanta together. And then you're going to be at a lot more home games. You season ticket guy. So between us two, man, we're going to cover a lot of ground on our beloved Tampa Bay Buccaneers this year. Ain't that right?
And you don't know what this is going to bring, man. We got playoffs. Maybe we're going to hit a hard road game in the playoffs. You never know what's going to happen. So we definitely want to be in them playoff games. And then Super Bowl in Arizona, being a season ticket holder, maybe I get that in that lottery, we get them tickets. So you never know what's going to happen, man. This is just it's exciting time to be a Bucs fan. It's time for everybody just to be as loud and rowdy and boisterous as you can to support this team because we deserve some success. And let's learn how to be successful. Let's not have infighting. Let's not have fans versus fans. Let's all be one nation, one Bucs nation. Let's ride the ship. Let's fire the cannons, and let's make the mutiny walk the plank. Go Bucs.
Hey, that was beautifully said. One nation, one ship, one team, one Buccateers podcast. And we have many beautiful Bucs podcasts to get your news, but we appreciate you guys making the Buccateers your source of Buccaneers news, info, and so much more on this Sunday evening with our guy, Brian James, Titans fan and Madden Underground specialist. You can find him at maddenunderground.com, UG Madden on Twitter. You can follow us in the show. Keep up with our co-hosts such as Stunna, Huncho, Cody G, Katz, Bucko the Bruce, and myself at Buccateers on Twitter, at Buccateers Pod on Instagram, Buccateers Podcast on YouTube. Then you could always catch the instant replay of the show on YouTube, on Apple, on Spotify, on Stitcher, Deezer, Radio Public, Google Podcast, and so much more. This is the Buccateers, and of course, every time we are live, you could catch us on Bucs Life News Facebook page as well. As Stunna said, rep the Bucs this year. It's going to be a special one. Most likely the GOATs last year in the NFL, so you best believe we got to embrace it, enjoy it, and we got to invade all the road games and the damn home games, as we have been getting too many road fans at these games. But as Stunna said, bless you all. We got to stay united as a fan base and keep motoring. I'm Tampa Tones alongside my wonderful host, Stunna. Always here. Us two are always here to please you on the Buccateers. Once again, Huncho, Cody, Bucko the Bruce, and Kat's out of the building tonight. This has been the Buccateers. The last Sunday show probably, or not show on Sunday, but the last Sunday show before football starts, I should say, because once the NFL season starts, we got game days, pre-game shows, post-game shows, and so much more here in the Buccateers. We thank you all for being able to tune in, and as always, go Bucs and fire the damn cannons. Game on Sunday, man. I know you're nervous for the Rams, but you got to be a little enthusiastic after being there.
Bro, that game atmosphere was ridiculous. The energy, the electricity. That place was rocking. Anyone was there, and a lot of the Super Buck fans were there too. The Bug.
Tampa Tones. We are joined by lead goon tonight, host of the Pat and Aaron Show of WDAE, Pat Donovan. And it sounds like Stunna is bumbling a little bit. Going to put him on mute for a second until that gets a little cleared. But we're joined by Pat
It looks like
Donovan.
Stunna's hanging out with Cheech and Chong in a car with the windows up or something over there.
It does look like we got a little...
No, my camera's broke.